Hey, what's up, guys? Keith Weldon here, and today I was wanting to talk about how to use ITC apps. I've been getting messages online from people who they say, like, I bought Necrophonic or Spiritus or Sweep or whatever app it is, but how do I use it? They're usually beginners or new to ITC communication, so they just want to know how to get started using the apps. And so I decided to go ahead and just make a quick video here to kind of explain just some basics of how to use the apps. And after this, I'll go through each one of my apps and just demonstrate the different features and how to use it. The best way to approach this is to think about it as doing an EVP session. These apps are essentially EVP communication, so that's the best approach in my opinion. And what that means is you're going to need a recording device. You can use a digital recorder, like a voice recorder, or you can use a camera. I used to use a digital recorder all the time, but now I pretty much strictly just use a camera. I have a nice microphone on it, so it works great. And I like to film my sessions as well, but I just use a camera. That's what I would recommend, but you can use a digital recorder if you like. The main point of that is you just need to record the audio. You need to record the session. So, because it is EVP communication, so most of what you get, you're going to need to review it. So, before I get into that, when you're doing spirit communication, you need to build a connection. So, a connection with the other side. So you need to kind of establish yourself, and so that the spirits know who you are. And this is something that just comes with practice over time. You're going to build that connection up, and spirits are going to be able to communicate better with you. Another thing is you're going to you develop an ear for it. So what I mean by that is when you're reviewing, when you first start off, it's going to be kind of hard to hear the communication that's coming through, like the different replies and stuff. But over time, you kind of develop an ear for it, and it's easier to hear the communication. So, and those are things that just you develop over time as you practice this, as you do more and more sessions. You're going to get better at it. Your connection's going to get stronger, and you're just going to get better communication overall. So that's something to think about. But yeah, getting into, now there's no right or wrong way to really do ITC sessions, but there are some ways that work better. Like I mentioned, the best thing you can do, the thing that you need to do, is record your sessions. Let's say you got your app and you got your camera or recorder of some kind. Now you're going to turn it on, you're going to record it, and as you ask questions, you want to kind of give some space in between the questions. You want some audio to come through. You want to give them a chance to reply. So if you ask a question like, what's your name or whatever, you need to then let the app run for a little bit, let some audio come through before you move on to your next question or whatever it is you're asking or doing. But you need to give them time. Now, another thing you're going to experience is real-time communication, which means as you're asking these questions, like you might say, what is your name? And then you might hear a name come through, or how many of you are here, and you might hear a number come through. This is real-time communication, and it's really cool to get that back and forth communication. But like I said, you're approaching this like an EVP session, so the real-time stuff is going to be actually a small percentage of the overall communication that you're getting. So recording is very crucial. And then after you completed your session, So you're going to go through and you're going to ask questions and let them reply and all that. And when you're done, well, I like to close out my sessions too by thanking them for communicating and things like that. But when you're done, you're going to take that recording and you're going to put it into a recording program on your computer. Let's see, if you're using a video camera, you're going to use a video editing program. If you don't have one, usually your computer will come with one. If you have Windows, you'll have like Windows Movie Maker. Macs usually have the iMovie. They usually come with a video editing program already on them, but you could also get something like Sony Vegas or whatever. A good one that I found fairly cheap is the Sony Movie Maker. I believe it's around $50 or so, and I find it to be a really good editing program for video. So you could do something like that, or you could just simply use the free one. If you're using a digital recorder, you might want to use a program like Audacity. It is free and it works really well. Or if you want to do something more advanced, you can get something like Pro Tools. Just some sort of audio editing program will work. So you got your footage, your recording, you put it into your editing program, and now you have more control over what you're hearing, and it's way easier to review. You got your track, and then you can go through and play certain segments of that track. You can listen to it over and over again if you have to, but you can easily review and listen for replies or whatever's coming through. I recommend using headphones unless you have a really nice speaker setup, but if you just have those janky little computer speakers, I would definitely recommend using a nice pair of headphones. But that's pretty much it. You just go through excuse me, you just go through and you listen, for your questions or whatever you're saying, and then listen for replies. And like I said, you kind of develop an ear for it after a while, and it becomes easier to hear these replies. But that's the overall process of running a Ghost Box session or an app session. You just want to ask questions, record it. Like I said, you're gonna hear stuff in real time, and that's great. And you can even try and get some back and forth communication in real time. It's one of the great phenomenons of using apps and ghost boxes is that real-time communication. But like I said, you really want to approach it from an EVP standpoint. That's the actual communication that you're doing. So you want to record it, you want to review it, and that's where the best communication is going to happen. I've gotten full sentences, I've gotten direct replies, personal stuff has come through that no one would know about or whatever. Like, you're gonna get direct stuff come through, and it's really amazing. It's what really keeps people going in this field is you're getting that communication that is so direct and so clear, and I don't know, it's just great. So, and like I said, it is like EVP communication. I think of it as enhanced EVP communication. So instead of just using a recorder in a quiet room, hoping that there's enough energy and sound that they can manipulate something, you're supplying them all the sound frequencies and different ranges of speech and vocal tones and everything, so they can really come through very direct, very clear. And that's what it's all about. So I know that's a quick sort of walkthrough on how to use the apps, but that's pretty much all it is. You got to record it, you got to listen back, you're going to build that connection, you're going to develop your different techniques and different things, and depending on the device, you're going to learn how to dial it into your liking and what gets you the best results. And so that's about it, guys. I just wanted to give a quick explanation of how to use these ITC apps. Now, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to actually use Spiritus, Sweep, and Necrophonic, and I'm going to kind of just go through the different features and how to use it. And that's pretty much it. So I want to thank you guys for tuning in.
Welcome to Spiritus.
Alright guys, this is the Spiritus Ghost Box app. This is the first ITC app that we made. I'm going to go over the different features of it. It has 4 sound banks, which are channel 1, 2, 3, and 4. Those are the different sound banks. It has 4 effects: echo, phaser, reverb, and filter. And over here on this side, you got a channels, effects, intensity, visuals, dark and light ambience. So first of all, dark and light ambience is something I put in there where you can it's designed to play either before, during, or after a session to kind of just set the mood. It was just something I was experimenting with at the time, but if you put it on dark, it just plays this sort of dark ambient music. Same for light. Sorry, my dogs are walking around. But that's all that really is. When it comes to the actual sessions, it's not really necessary. So if we go channel 1, we put on echo. You hear the echo, phaser, reverb, and then filter. And you can kind of hear the different effects that creates. Intensity scan is a feature which is right here. Intensity scan, what this does is it constantly changes the scan rate. So the rate that it selects the audio, that it plays the audio, that will go faster to slower. It also affects the intensity of the effects. So like echo or reverb, it'll increase or decrease or change the overall intensity of the effect. So it might get real slow or it might get real fast. And the reverb or whatever effect you're using might get really strong or might get really weak. And it's constantly changing that. It also has an effect on the visual, which I will get into in a minute. And then there's these channel and effects right here. What these are basically like autopilot. So if you put the channels on, it will constantly select different channels. Like I'm not pressing these channels right now. It's doing it on its own. So I'll turn that off. And so it'll constantly turn these channels on and off by themselves. And same thing for the effects. If I put the effects on, you'll see it'll start selecting effects. And so if you put both of those on, it's basically like an autopilot. So if you don't want to dial in what channels or what effects you want on, you could simply turn these both on and it goes into like an autopilot mode. And if you include intensity, now it's selecting the channels at random, the effects at random, and the scan rate and intensity is changing as well. So it's like complete autopilot mode. Okay, I'm gonna turn these off. Now it also has a visual ITC feature, which is a randomized particle system that we created. It's sort of like water ITC, or people do smoke or vapor ITC. It's supposed to be a digital version of that. So if we go into here by clicking right there, you'll see it goes into this visual feature. And it's a little slow right now because I am recording as well screen capturing. You can see how the visual looks, and now if I tap the screen again, it will back out. Now, I mentioned that if you have intensity scan on, when you go into here, it will be different. You can see it looks a little different. And what that does is intensity scan changes the particle system in various ways. Colors, speed, size, all that stuff is changed. It's constantly changing with intensity on. And then you could also do visuals, which if you go back into here, you'll see it also adds some visual effects as well. And like I said, it's slow right now because I am recording my screen, so it's kind of slowing it down. But that's the basic features of the app. The visual ITC feature is a lot like the audio ITC stuff. You want to film it with a camera. And what you're looking for is the manipulation of the light waves and stuff like that. They want to manipulate the visuals onto your camera. I've gotten some pretty good results with it. I've seen other people who've gotten pretty good results with it. So that's pretty much the features of Spiritus. When you first start the app, I mean, what I like to do is just turn all of these on and then go into this. And what that will do is you're basically running full autopilot audio, and you got all your visual features running, so you can film your screen and capture both audio and potentially visual communication as well. So this is Spiritus. It's available on Android and iOS on Google Play in the App Store for $12.99. It's my first ITC app, and it's pretty much one of my favorite ones. It's got both audio and visual features, and it's pretty unique. There's not too many other ITC apps like this, but yeah, so that's it. That's Spiritus.
Sweet Ghost Box application activated.
Next up, this is Sweet Ghost Box, and the idea behind this app was to create a linear sweeping ghost box style application. So it works in a similar way that a linear sweeping ghost box, a physical box, would work. It's got forward and reverse sweeps. Now the reverse, if you do reverse sweep, all the audio coming through is played in reverse. It's the same audio as if you go forward, but it's in reverse. There's a pause. There's a filter effect. If you turn on the filter, you can do high pass or low pass filter by selecting which one you want to do and adjusting the slider. It's got reverb and it's got echo as well, which is pretty cool. It's also got a mute button right here. Audio's on, audio's off. It also has a burst mode. What this burst mode does is, as you'll see in a second, now burst mode, what it does is instead of constantly sweeping, so if I turn this off and I just run it like this, you'll see. And you could adjust the sweep rate here too. But if you put it in burst mode, it won't constantly sweep, it'll just burst sweep. So that's what that feature does. You could also tap on these like a manual sweep. If you wanted to do your own sort of manual sweep. And the way this works is it actually doesn't have sound banks, it has audio clips. So it has 7 channels here indicated by these circles. And each one loads up a 20-second audio clip, and as it sweeps through it, it'll play a random section of that 20-second audio clip. And so by adjusting the sweep rate, you can actually make it play a longer sound, or if you take the sweep rate really low, it plays a shorter sound. And then you can add reverb, filter, echo, like I said. And then you have your mute button as well. If you want to start sweeping, you can mute it. It keeps sweeping, but you can ask your questions now and then unmute it. So that's the way that works. Yeah, and it's a pretty cool, I like the idea of this app, and so that's why we created it. Another thing to mention is every time it does a full sweep, it changes out one of the audio clips. So it's not the same 7 audio clips. It does one sweep, then one of the channels changes the audio clip. The next sweep, another channel changes its audio clip, and it keeps changing as it goes. So it's meant to emulate a radio style ghost box. So that's it, guys. That's Sweep Ghost Box. This is probably the least popular app that I have, but honestly I think it's one of the coolest. Just the way that it functions, I find very cool. I like it a lot, but it is available for Android and iOS on Google Play and the App Store, and it is $9.99. Alright guys, this is the latest app that I put out. I'm working on a new one, but this is the latest one that's actually released. It's called Necrophonic. This is actually my most popular app, and it's made to be very easy to use and you're able to quickly get a session going without having to dial in a lot of stuff. Everything's pre-dialed in. Even the audio itself has been processed using Pro Tools to enhance high, low, mid-range frequencies within the audio. And everything is pretty much pre-dialed in for you. All you really have to do is hit start, and it starts your session. You can add echo and you can add reverb if you'd like to further enhance your communication, but that's totally up to you whether you want to do that or not. What I included in this app is a white noise sound bank, and it's actually made up of sounds from a DR60 recorder, the internal sounds. What I did is I put a DR60 within a like a Pelican type case, which has all this foam and stuff around it, so no sound could get into the recorder. And I pressed record, and then I took that audio and I chopped it up and I made it into an actual sound bank. So it's not a constant stream of white noise like a white noise generator. It's an actual ITC sound bank for an app, but it's made up of DR60 white noise. That's what it sounds like. Another thing to, so you can use the white noise. I put that in there for ITC people who want to experiment with using a white noise sound bank, something a little different. And a lot of people have said they've gotten some great stuff come through with it. You can add it to the other sound banks, which I want to mention, this app actually has 8 different sound banks. So if you turn on the white noise, it actually makes it 9 sound banks running at once. So if you start this, that that effect that you see, that glitchy effect, is just an effect when the audio's running. That effect right there, that is not a problem with your app that's meant to do that. You turn on echo. And if you turn on white noise, you're actually running 9 different sound banks right now. And that's it, guys. It's a really simple app. It's right out the box. You can use it. People have been getting amazing results with it. I've gotten some pretty cool stuff with it myself. And that's it. That's Necrophonic. Like I said, it's very simple to use, but it's very effective. And that was the overall goal with creating this app. And it is available for Android and iOS on Google Play in the App Store for $9.99. And that's it. Necrophonic.